Okay, thank you guys. You hear me, everyone? Nice and clear. All right, so I'm on stage today to tell you about something very, very serious. I'm going to be very real with you. I'm going to be very direct. I'm going to tell you my personal story. So this product is basically how a terrifying situation ends up becoming a new product. And hence, Sirène. So before I dig into what we're doing and what we've developed, I'm going to tell you about some statistics that showcases very much why we've developed what we've developed. So, just let alone in Germany, every fourth person feels unsafe when wandering around alone in their neighborhood after dark. That's a lot of people. And I know that in Denmark, we're nearly 6 million people, and we have the same stats. You're 80 million approximately, right? So that's a ton of people. Also, every second German woman believes that public places have become less safe. That's also a lot. That's terrifying stats. Also, doesn't surprise us so much because Germany saw a 7% increase in cases of bodily harm in 2023. So we're talking a very serious problem here that goes all over Germany, but we also have it in Denmark. And we have a little party music here backing these stats up. That's very interesting. But before digging into the whole issue and how we're going to solve this, I have my own story. And I remember this day so clearly. I was 25 years old. I was out in public minding my own business. This was Saturday, daylight, nothing crazy. I remember what I was wearing that clearly. And this person comes up to me, and I was exposed to attempted sexual assault. I was 25 years old. I have never in my life felt so vulnerable before. I've never felt so alone. Nobody was near me. I could not do anything. I couldn't call for anybody. However, I am a feisty little person. So I started fighting against this guy. And luckily, I got out of it. But he managed to do stuff to me that obviously imprinted in my mind. And I will never forget this day. So, how do you end up standing in such a tragic situation? Then you end up with a product that might actually solve these things. And that's what happened. So, I'm going to introduce to you Sirène. There is sound on. I'm hoping that the sound gets through because we have a little crazy music over here. But read the text and get the vibe of what Sirène is, and I'll dig more into it. Let's see if I can play it. I don't know about you guys, but I get goosebumps every time I watch this video. This is Sirène. Sirène is our little hero. A hero that came out of a very, very tragic situation and ended up being the smallest companion you will have, but with the biggest network ever. Sirène is this little piece of hardware. It's connected to your phone. And on your phone, you download an app. On this app, you add as many contacts as you can possibly come to mind of. So whether it's your colleagues, your friends, your family, whatever, you add them to this list. They get invited to be part of your network, your circle. If you're in an unsafe situation, you press once on the metallic button, and Sirène sends out the message to all your contacts simultaneously, letting them know that you're in desperate need of their help. Now, we're so lucky and also very talented that we have succeeded to manage to get a critical alert through, meaning that this device sends a critical alert going through focus mode and silent mode. Because imagine that somebody you love or care about needs your help, but because it's night and you're on silent mode, they cannot get in contact with you. That's a terrifying idea, and we want to accomplish that. That cannot happen here. So Sirène sends a critical alert with your live location. So if you're in a situation where you're moving because you're getting away from something, the live location will constantly update so your contacts know where you are. And they'll get the fastest route to you, helping, and then they can all arrive simultaneously. Studies show that in 9 out of 10 situations, a perpetrator is caught in the act, the situation actually de-escalates. So imagine calling 10 contacts at once and they all appear at the location at the same time. The situation might even not go that far. It actually de-escalates. Sirène is very little and can be used in various situations. So you are connected to an app, as I mentioned, where you add all your contacts. Now imagine a situation where you have a little street of small shops, for instance. All shops, they have each of their Sirène. And if one person is closing down a store one day and somebody's coming in, let's say robbing them, let's say just making them insecure, they can actually activate Sirène, and then they can activate the whole street of shops. Also, you have the active person. So going out running with Sirène, feeling uncomfortable. We have read a stat the other day that a lot of people, when they're going out running at night, they feel super uncomfortable and unsafe. Sirène can help you feel safe like this, because you know that in 0.6 seconds, you call all your contacts simultaneously. Using your phone, you maybe call, let's say a situation where you try to call one person, you don't get through, they don't pick up. You try call the next person, you actually do get through, they do pick up. Then you have a situation where you need to explain where you are. All of these situations stresses you out. And Sirène kind of helps compromise that. So you don't have to explain where you are. You don't have to worry about not getting through to anybody. Sirène will do it all. We can also think in a bigger perspective, because you have the neighbor help. So if you're talking either a gated community, you're talking just a regular neighborhood, and you're all connected with one another, you can have a Sirène connected to that house that activates your whole neighborhood, letting them know that something's happened, and they will come simultaneously. We actually had a situation like this. A neighborhood, they used WhatsApp for this specific occasion or this specific reason. They were contacting one another, and a woman was home alone with her kids, and an intruder came in. So she started texting in the WhatsApp group. She was connected with the whole neighborhood, saying that somebody is in the house, I'm alone with the kids, please come and help me. Within 5 minutes, 5 cars came and actually helped this woman. So we see a lot of situations with Sirène where we can actually help and comprehend a lot of things from happening. And in my situation is not the only one. We have a lot of these situations going on. Unfortunately, statistics are going up. We actually want to increase this. So if we can help one person, if one person can be saved, if one situation can be de-escalated with Sirène, then we've done our job. But fact is that most likely we will actually come to help a lot more than we're expecting. We really want to increase safety in public space. If we've done it on the roads, now we're taking safety from the roads to the public streets with Sirène. Now, I like when I'm up here and talking, I love to interact with my audience. And I could imagine that some of you maybe have questions for me in regards to Sirène. So please go ahead and shoot whatever you have or whatever comes to mind. if you have any at least. None? Yes? Yes. So that's a great, yeah, oh, there's a mic, yeah. Okay, so he was asking how we prevent misuse from happening. Yes. So when you're inviting people to your network, you invite them with a personal ID. And that personal ID ends up in a notification in your app where you see the person's name and a picture of the person, so you know exactly who it is who added you. This way, you are in constant control of who you are actually contacting when you're in need of help, and vice versa, who you are helping or who you want to be a part of. It's actually a very interesting question because we are looking at, oh, I'm missing a slide here. So I should have had a slide here where we're talking about a voluntary community, because we've actually also looked at that. So in Denmark, when we started, we actually looked into creating a voluntary community. So with if people are within 5 kilometers of reach, they can actually come to you and help you. The way we did that is we verify people through the app as well. We know who they are, and we know exactly where they are when they accept a mission and come and help people. So this is just very much about the whole data thing, but giving us data enough so that we can actually keep track of who is using our product. Obviously, the politicians are very interested in a product like Sirène because you end up with research or results that they can actually use to make their cities safer. So let's say Berlin, for instance, make Berlin safer like that. Yes. I don't know if did I answer your question? Yes. Yes? Any other questions? All right. So, well, yeah?
Maybe I got a question. So what are the challenges in building communities you just mentioned? Because there is a project in Berlin where in case of a medical emergency and I call the Feuerwehr, to get help, I had the experience that way earlier, like randoms, strangers are at that location to help with this medical emergency. So they built a community. But what are your challenges as a private company?
So I guess what we've experienced so far is really talking very direct to people. So imagine this being your friends, imagine this being your family actually needing that help, and you're not able to help them. In a situation where you really, really need the help, it doesn't matter who's helping you, right? So if you are frightened or if you're very nervous or if you do not know what to do and you need the help, it doesn't matter who's coming. That was our communication strategy in Denmark, and that actually worked. So this is very much about people helping one another. So with our other product, the co-driver, we're actually using our drivers to communicate with one another to make the roads ahead safer, right? So using that kind of technology and that kind of communication and placing it in a concept and product like Sirène actually does the work. But it's also obviously about taking it very seriously and taking care of your community. That's a title itself, job title itself. We have a question down there.
Hi.
Hi.
With the co-driver, I have the experience that people are sort of using it excessively, and so you get more alerts than issues or threats, or it also tells you when there's picture taken, right? So I get it more often than there's actually something actually happening. Mm-hmm. So I stop listening to it at some point, Mm-hmm. So sometimes I still do, sometimes I don't even listen to it anymore because it just starts entering your subconscious and somehow, right? So is there any plan, any strategy for your company, how you want to prevent the same thing happening in this issue? Because, in these cases, it seems to be real issues, right? So if too often times people are pressing the button and actually nothing happened, really, right?
Right.
How does your statistic collect this and make sure that not in the end, people are at some point not running to the issue anymore because they feel like, it's just another not true case?
That's a great question, and I think it's very difficult. The way people are using the co-driver, for instance, is not the same way as you would use a Sirène. So a Sirène is very much in a situation where you feel unsafe and you need the help of others. So when you're activating Sirène, you are aware that you are actually activating other people and making them come towards you. So I get the question, but the use cases are so different that hopefully that won't be an issue that people are like false alarm, for instance. However, if we end up with a false alarm, you can deactivate it again, and then you let people know that this was a false alarm. So it's really up to you how you communicate with the users if that happens. But obviously, our communication as a company is, this device is for you to use. If you're activating a voluntary community, you need to be aware that you're activating them. However, are you activating your own contacts? Then that's really up to you how you want to communicate with your own contacts. So if a situation is that you just feel frightened, nobody has actually talked to you or whatever, but you actually feel like somebody is following you, you don't really know where to go, and you actually need the help of a contact, then I would say that's fine. Activate Sirène, because you feel uncomfortable and you feel unsafe, and we would rather things stop from happening rather than they actually go too far, right? And then things are actually in the middle of happening, and then you activate Sirène. So this is somehow to prevent things from happening. That's really Sirène's main task, to be as preventive as possible. Yeah? Other questions? Otherwise, just raise your hand. But it's a great question, because your question actually leads me to the next thing we actually want to implement in Sirène as well, and that's the follow me home function. So a lot of us know the text me when you get home movement. It really, it's spread all over Europe and all over the world, really. And what it is that a lot of, especially women, they know the text me when you get home dialogue. So a lot of us have it when we're going out and we're going out separate ways. Then we say, hey, remember to text me when you get home. A lot of times we actually forget that. Then what happens? Well, the other person gets worried. And we actually want to see how can we take the text me when we get home movement and enter it into a digital world and a product like Sirène. So let's say I'm out with my friends. I say, see you guys. I'm going home now. It's night. I activate Sirène in a different way than I would in an emergency. Then people have access to watch over my location until I say, okay, I'm home safely. This is a way of us taking care of one another, keeping an eye on one another, without actually having to text each other. So we have a lot of opportunities to actually be in contact with each other via the digital world or in a digital manner. And that's what we're trying to do with Sirène as well. This is really all about living your life. And you should be able to do that. And I'm sure we are able to do that. Sometimes we just need a little bit of help. And Sirène is not the solution, but Sirène is a part of the solution. I know that I want to live my life, and I know that I love living my life. But it does something extra to me that I know that I actually have a Sirène on me. Knowing that if something happens, I activate it, and I get the help from the people that I really need to get it from. Yes? Do we have any other questions? You are more than welcome. I don't think I've had a question. Yes?
Hi. Would it optionally be possible to connect it to the police?
Great question. So we have been in dialogue with the police. They acknowledge our concept. However, working and cooperating with the police, you need to make sure that when you activate Sirène, it's because something criminal is actually happening. If something criminal is not happening, but you are feeling safe because somebody's uncomfortable, which is fair enough, then you activate your Sirène. But then it's not the police who should arrive. However, activating Sirène is like calling the police. Because when you activate Sirène, you activate your contacts. And it's up to them to contact the police if it's necessary. Because you may not be in a situation where you actually have the opportunity to do so. So this is also a way of contacting the police in a situation where you simply cannot. In my situation, reaching for the phone was not a possibility. But the police needed to be there in that situation. But how would they know? I couldn't contact them. But it takes so much more to actually get directly into contact with the police, because you need somebody to tell the police that something criminal is actually happening. They need that witness. So there's another thing, the witnesses. So after a situation happens, let's say we actually do contact the police, then we have witnesses available being able to tell what happened and notify the police of what happened, and then take it from there. Okay? Any other questions? Oh, I don't speak German, but maybe somebody else can translate.
Es besteht da die Gefahr, wenn bestimmte Leute zur Hilfe eilen, dass sie erstens in Selbstjustiz greifen, dass sie im Prinzip die Person überwältigen, also selber überwältigen wollen. Das könnte passieren. Es könnte auch passieren, dass sie sich selbst in Gefahr bringen. Also da sollte man auch mal drüber nachdenken.
I wish I understood that.
So this gentleman is raising a potential issue that if people come by, they will be in a situation of emergency themselves. So what do you know about that?
Self-harm in a way.
And or will they do self-justice? And this would be a problem. I think this is what he's mentioning.
I normally say this. Sirène is no different than calling for help. So Sirène is just a digital way of calling for help. So if you freeze, you can't call for help, Sirène will do it for you. In terms of the self-harm and the justice part and everything like that, that's what I mentioned before. So a university from Copenhagen and from England and from the Netherlands actually came to a conclusion that in 9 out of 10 cases, a perpetrator is just caught in the act. The situation de-escalates. And those statistics, those are the ones that we need to focus on, because those are important. That's 90% of cases. That's a lot. So if the presence of a witness actually de-escalates, then we're good. And that's exactly what we're communicating. That's exactly what appeared to happen. Yeah? Yeah? Did you have another question? Did you reach your arm? No? Okay, perfect. So we're launching in Germany in a couple of weeks, and I'm super excited about this. Unfortunately, I wish that we didn't need a product like ours. However, some stats and experiences say we do. So I'm hoping you can follow along. We are at a booth right over here. You're more than welcome to stop by, see the product up front, test it, talk to us, and ask us all the questions you want that you may not want to answer or ask here at least. Thank you so much for your time.